the fine gentlemen from Buckcherry with me, Stevie and Josh. So what for you represents Warpaint?
You know, we were just talking about, you know, having a record title that, you know, something that we could do, create some symbolism behind, and we threw around a bunch of names, and Warpaint was the one that stuck. And, you know, since I don't know about Stevie, but since I was a kid, I was always fascinated with the Indians. I was always fascinated with like really heavily tattooed people. They, you know, whenever I saw like bikers or whatever walking around with sleeves, I was, you know, pretty fascinated with it. And, you know, Warpaint is more than just like, it's just kind of like a celebration of life, you know, and also I like to call it like my bodysuit, you know, to go out there in the world and get it done, you know.
2-3 years ago, we were working on another band, and this band was splintering. I had to, you know, just kind of take on this state of mind where I was invincible. I could do, you know, I could keep going, and that's what a few of the songs, without even talking with Josh when we were writing them, it was totally representing what I needed to feel. You know what I mean?
So what inspired the idea to do a cover of Head Like a Hole?
I really got to feel connected to the lyrical content and feel like I can really sing it with authority, you know, and I always liked Pretty Hate Machine, that record,
yeah.
And so I started listening to that song. I don't know how it came up for me, but I just said, Stevie, you know, we gotta look at this, you know. And I think it's always more interesting for a rock band not to cover just a rock song, you know. It's just, we like to take songs that are off the beaten path and kind of make it our own. And what we didn't know is that Mike Plotnikoff, our producer, was recording us at the time. And he's like, hey, you guys need to come in the control room. And he threw up a rough mix of it, and we sat back and listened to it, and that was pretty much it. It was a no-brainer at that point.
So in terms of actually writing the record, what was it like? Was it a completely different process with this kind of back against the wall attitude that you had?
I've known Stevie way before I ever met Keith. You know, I met Stevie when I was 19 or 20 in Los Angeles. We were actually working day jobs together, and we became roommates. And so there's a long history here with this guy, and so Keith's departure 2 years ago, he was the main songwriting partner for me in Buckcherry, and so Stevie and I wrote the Josh Shot in a Conflict record together, and we that was the record where we really got something over the finish line together. He didn't have a lot of opportunities in the past in Buckcherry to write because of the politics of the band, what was going on, and so I got to see more depth in Stevie than I ever got to see before, because we got to put a record out together. So we had a lot of practice going into the songwriting for Buckcherry with the Conflict record, and so we started understanding our songwriting language, I like to call it, and so by the time we got to the Buckcherry songwriting process, we knew we had to really come up with a great record, because it had been 3 years. We had to overcome all the lineup changes and all that stuff, all that talk. So we started writing in November of 2017, and we wrote about 30 songs for an 11-song record, so we were very thorough. It's so similar to the time when we were writing for 15.
We even went back to the producer who did 15, or album 15.
What inspired that decision to go back to him? Did you want to kind of rekindle that fire, so to speak?
You know, we had a great time making a record with the guy. His name's Mike Plotnikoff, and Canadian guy, lovely guy, and we just wanted to have fun making a record again, you know, and we had a lot of success with him. He's done a lot of great active rock records.
And for a band like us, who's got maybe a different sound than what's going on out there, I think it was a good move, or a good fit, to put us, to get back together with him.
Brings me on to another question, which is about radio song. And I was interested to see, was there a particular song that you had in mind that, you know, you were really affected by when you heard it on the radio? Because I feel it's totally changed in today's society, you know?
No, you know, the radio always kind of marked our summers when we were kids. You know, I mean, it was such a big deal, and it's one of those things where it could change my whole outlook on the day. You know, just you're going through your day, you might be not having such a great day, and then something comes on the radio, and you just like, you know what, everything's not so bad, you know. And I come up with a lot of melodies in the shower, and I always keep my phone outside, you know, on the counter so I can record melodies. And I just scattered the melody out real quick and went downstairs. I was really inspired, and I just wrote the whole thing. And I came in to Stevie the next day, and I sang it down to him, and I said, I want this to be our Purple Rain. You know, this has got to be our Purple Rain. And Stevie and I are big Prince fans, so he knew what I was talking about.
Do you think that's also because of your chemistry as songwriters as well?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot that nowadays, we don't even have to say. You know what I mean? Like before, he would be really particular and exacting about what he thought, you know, what he wanted to hear. And I'd be like, but I also want this, you know, and now it's just like, he'll sing something, and I'm like, I got it, you know what I mean?
So, in terms of classic rock, you know, heavy rock, what was it that attracted the two of you to this genre of music?
We just grew up on rock, you know. Our backgrounds are a little different, but I grew up in Orange County, California. All my foundation was independent records and punk rock records, but there was like music in my family. You know, my sister listened to a lot of music, so I would sneak into her room. She was older, 2.5 years older, and she listened to like Prince and Billy Idol and The Time and Apollonia 6 and Yaz, and I loved all those records. But I was really attracted to aggressive music, and because I'm pretty high. I'm either like on 11 or I'm asleep, you know.
So obviously, you know, Buckcherry has been such a large part of your lives, but what would you say you've learned the most about yourselves?
Man, all the lessons, you know, and it keeps changing, you know, like you have to, in order to stay here, you know, doing this, you gotta evolve or, you know.
Or die.
Or die. But yeah, like the only thing that is positive is, or that we know for sure is it's always going to change. If a person leaves the band, you know, can you guys keep going? You know what I mean?
And like Stevie said, it's just about like, what are you going to do in those valleys? You know, the peaks are easy. That's easy. It's so easy to just ride the wave and have fun. Everybody loves you, and it's when they don't is when you have to really kind of figure out why you do it, you know? And we've had to ask ourselves that many times. It's like, well, when it gets down to it, this is it. This is it for me. It's the only thing that consistently makes me happy, so,
right.
You know?
For me too.
Well, thank you so much on behalf of EMP. Thanks for having a chat.
Thanks, man.
Thank you,
nice
man.
meeting you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.